There is a real yawning need for developers. Right now, there's 14 jobs available for every qualified developer that's out there. Average median salary right now, $163,000 for a junior level person. Those who know this very well, making millions right now. Well, there's a great need for training, and someone is doing that right now in a profound way. Matter of fact, so profound, raising money and being able to feed hundreds of thousands of meals to those who are homeless, and being able to help by raising money and providing the training in many different ways. This person has been around in the crypto world for a long time. Many of us know him, and he is here to share with us today where we are and how to move forward with blockchain development. His name, Jason King.
Thanks, man. Awesome. This is a fantastic crowd. We got slides loaded up yet? No? All right, so I'll just vamp here for a second. So I got in the Bitcoin space in 2010. We didn't call it a blockchain space. There wasn't anything else. It was just Bitcoin. So most of you, if you know me from, I founded an organization called Sean's Outpost, which is one of the very first cryptocurrency-based charities. At Sean's Outpost, we fed 167,000 meals to the homeless using exclusively cryptocurrencies for it. So at Sean's Outpost, we also did something really cool. We founded a project called Satoshi Forest, which is a 9-acre homeless sanctuary in Pensacola, Florida. We purchased the property with a down payment in crypto. We had a mortgage based in cryptocurrency, and in December of 2017, we paid the property off entirely. Now, something really interesting happened on Friday on my way down here. We've been in a protracted legal battle with Escambia County, Florida. They actually sued us over our right to have a commercial homeless campground where we didn't charge anybody, and we just had a safe space where we would allow people to live and have dignity. And we actually got sued 5 times. We won in court 5 times, and we won every appeal that they ever fought against us. But even so, it took 50 months. That's 4 years plus 2 months of fighting against the government. And on Friday, they finally issued our permit. So we are now the first privately owned homeless sanctuary in the state of Florida. And we now have the blueprint to give to every other homeless organization in the state on how you can do it and how you can go around all of the problems that we had and how you can use all of the case studies that we've done to back up your case for doing it there. So that's the thing that really excites me about blockchain. When I saw it, when I saw Bitcoin, when I saw how these communities can come together worldwide, it just hit me that this could be the most powerful thing for pushing us forward in humanitarian efforts worldwide. And so that's always been my bent. After Sean's Outpost, I founded a company called unsung.org. Unsung is like Uber for feeding the homeless. It's an app where restaurants and catering services and grocery stores that have excess food can just put that they have food available, and a network of volunteer drivers can go pick that food up and take it to those in need. And we incentivize those people with cryptocurrencies, so they're getting paid for their time as well. And the average cost of a meal being fed at a homeless shelter in the United States is $2.37. In the first year of operation at Unsung, we brought that price down to 97 cents. Today, it's about 67 cents. We believe at scale we can actually get it down to 9 cents. And so if you look at the fact that in the US alone, we're spending $231 billion on food aid of some sort to people, like I said, at an average cost of $2.37, if we can bring that cost down to, a dime, then we can actually repurpose some of this money that's already being used for things that actually have long-term effects, like education, sustainable housing, things like that. So those are the things that I care about a lot. But last year, I don't know if you'd call it a privilege or not, but I spoke in front of the European Union last year. And I think they thought that I was going to give them sort of a puff piece on how, the European Union could use blockchain and make everything better for the things that the EU was doing. but I didn't. I kind of lambasted them from the podium because they spent $2.1 billion in 2016 to feed refugees in Greece, but most of the refugees never got fed. Well, it's actually worse than that, is that they had no transparency and accountability, so that the NGOs that applied for those programs were actually able to not feed refugees, get paid for it, and then the next year go back to the table and apply for the same program to get paid to not feed refugees again. So what I proposed is that we could create a distributed identity system where we could give distributed identities to the refugees, and then we could poll them as a decentralized oracle system where just we could ask them a basic question like, hey, did you get fed today? And if the answer was no from enough of them, well, guess what? Then the NGO didn't get paid. Because that's the stuff that interests me in blockchain. And so, funny enough, they actually were like, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll give you a pilot program for it. We'll fund the development of that app. And I was super excited. That was great. And like I said, I've been in the space for a long time. I know most of the good devs in the space. So I actually went to my best friend, Stephen Dack, who's one of the co-founders of Ethereum. And I was like, Steve, man, we got this money. We could build this thing. And he's like, Jason, that is a great idea. I would love to build that. But I'm on this job right now. I've got like 6 projects behind it, and I'm advising like 10 other companies on it. But when all of that gets cleared up, I'd love to build this for you. And it's like, no problem, man. I'll go to the next developer. And so I went to the next one, and I got some version of that. And so in all of the developers I was talking to, that's what happened. So I stopped talking to developers, and I started talking to blockchain executives. And I said, hey, are you guys hiring engineers right now? And you can't get the word engineer out of your mouth to a blockchain executive, and they'll be like, do you know somebody? I'll hire them. I'll hire them. I'll hire their friends. I'll hire the whole team. So I said, something's amiss here. So I deep dove in and actually found out that we had this huge issue. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today, which is the developer crisis that we have and sort of the roadmap that we've figured out to try to deal with it. All right. So where's my video monitor? Bam, right there. All right, so let's talk about the blockchain landscape. Things are going great. This slide's actually wrong. I've been doing this speech for a couple of months now, and when I first started it, it was like we had raised $1.6 billion from ICOs in 2017. This says 3.7. We actually finished out the year about 4.3. So we raised $4.3 billion for ICOs last year. The year before that, we raised just a little over $100 million. So that shows sort of velocity in the industry, right? So patents, I know most of you probably don't care about patents. I don't really care about patents, but in 2012, 71 of them were filed. In 2016, 469. We actually finished up last year with 832 patents were filed in blockchain. So like this is definitely growth. We actually expect to grow as an industry 16 times over the next 7 years. So, I mean, like we saw the growth, just the difference between 2016 and 2017, and I'm telling you, this is just the beginning of where we're going. But we have this problem that everyone's aware of and people are actually afraid to talk about, and so I'm going to talk about it today. We surveyed 200 Fortune 500 executives, and of those 200, 188 of them have plans for implementing blockchain technology, which is great. But that little sliver there is the problem. Of the 188, only 12 actually thought that they could identify the talent to build those blockchain systems out. Because like was introduced here to you, on the face of the earth right now, there are 14 available jobs in the blockchain ecosystem for every 1 qualified developer. And like I said, we're looking to grow 16x over the next few years. So we're at a 14x deficit right now, and we want to grow 16 times. So what that means is that there's like a potential for industry-wide bottleneck, and we actually already see this. We see good companies that have funding that are having problems that, hiring engineering staff. This could actually lead to a sector implosion. I actually feel that this is probably the one greatest threat to the whole blockchain ecosystem right now, is that we need to get more developers involved in this. And we're already seeing this last one here as well, is that a lot of projects, and so, sure, there's going to be crap projects that are going to raise money, they're not going to do anything, that's just going to happen. But some of these projects that you're going to hear about, that you care a lot about, aren't going to come to fruition because they're not going to be able to attract engineering talent. If you want to see this on a large scale, last year one of the largest ICOs was an ICO called Tezos. Now Tezos raised almost $250 million, actually a little more than $250 million. And they're currently imploding right now. And in their internal memos that got released, one of the reasons that they cite is failure to attract engineering talent. So they had $250 million and they had a hard time attracting engineering talent to come out and build their own products. So why have we been so slow as an industry? Blockchain moves very quickly. So if you think about like traditional educational systems, by the time something would make it into a textbook in blockchain, it would be irrelevant. And blockchain devs are paid significantly more to be in production than to be in a classroom. So this is a huge issue. Matter of fact, a lot of times the people that are capable of doing this are actually the people that built the protocols out themselves. So they're not stopping to document this in a way that makes it easy for people to come behind them and learn the stuff that they're teaching. And these are kind of critical skills for an industry that needs to grow and needs more people, needs more hands on deck to be building these things. And then we don't have an industry certification we don't have industry standards for education certification right now. There's been a couple of attempts at it, but the issue ends up being is that the people starting them are developers. So once they get traction on building their awesome certification, someone's like, wow, that guy's great. I will give him $1 million to come work for me. And then that's what happens, and they get moved out. So what's the solution? Well, I think that we have one that we've been working on. Last year, I met a really great guy who was going to end up changing my whole life. I was in Africa, and I met a man named John Souza. Now, John is the founder of Kingsland University in Atlanta, Georgia. And Kingsland University is a fully accredited U.S. university. It's accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And we had mutual friends, and we were talking, and he was like, Jason, you're a great blockchain guy. I'd like to get you involved in teaching like maybe executive education at my university. And I was like, that's cool, and a lot of people like that, but it's not something that's super interesting to me. I didn't really see it as solving a massive problem, and I'm a problem solver. But 2 weeks after that, I had the incident that I described at the European Union, and I realized that there was this huge deficit of blockchain developers. So I went back to John, and I said, look, I know this is different from what you had proposed, but what do you think it would take for us to get a fully accredited school for blockchain development set up at your university? And he's like, I don't know, but it sounds like a good idea. And luckily, John was forward-thinking enough that over several months last year, we went through that process, and we have stood up the Academy School of Blockchain, the world's first fully U.S. accredited school for blockchain development. So we look at ourselves as a full circle solution. We give developers and executives and universities tailored options for blockchain education and connect the graduates seeking careers with meaningful companies within our ecosystem. So our, let's go back, sorry. We do immersive blockchain certification tracks. So our core product is that we've created a 6-week course. It's full immersion where we can take a qualified software developer, and we give them 6 weeks of hands-on, immersive, like full project-based learning in blockchain best practices so that someone can go in with an understanding of software development and they can come out with an understanding of blockchain development. So at Kingsland, we have trained over 275,000 people in the history of the university. And so we have a history of teaching technology at a high level, and we've done this worldwide. This is just sort of a, hey, look at us list of people that we've been involved with training. We are Sachs-Cassie accredited, so that's the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. They are the formal accrediting body for all schools in the southeastern United States. And so along with that, what we have is we have SCORM-compatible online learning. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to create a piece of online content for Academy at Kingsland and then we can actually distribute that out to pretty much every other accredited university on the planet, and then they can roll our curriculum through their professional and executive education departments. And so why that's valuable is you would think that our universities would have already realized that they should be teaching blockchain education. And some of them have, and they have 1 or 2 courses, but they're usually like a very low-level course. But getting curriculum approved at these massive bureaucratic universities is very, very difficult. It's usually a 2 or 3 year process. You have to have a faculty advisor that's going to walk it through, and you have to have a board of governors that's going to approve the curriculum. And that's a very long process. So if you think about if the average time for doing that is 2 to 3 years, think about what our industry was like 3 years ago. And think about if we wait 3 more years before we fix this. So that's why we had to come in and do this. And so with our SCORM-compatible system, we can actually sort of run around those bottlenecks at other universities by us as an accredited university creating content that can actually get syndicated out worldwide. So we're really excited about that. We're actually already engaged in conversations in lots of different markets. So what our main model is we're running classes. We're running the 6-week immersion class. Our first one started on January 29th of this year. It runs 6 weeks, so it ends in the middle of March. We currently have 150 students enrolled in that program. We had 675 people apply for the class. 300 of them passed our entrance exam, and we took half of them into the class. So we have 150 fresh new engineers waiting to be hired here coming in March. But along with those students, what we've done is we've taken high-quality technical trainers, people that are really good at teaching software development, but maybe don't know a lot about blockchain. But knowing a technology and being able to teach a technology are 2 completely different skill sets. So what we did is we've got people that we've identified as being really good at teaching technology, and we've put them through our course to create the next generation of teachers that we can then deploy out worldwide. Our first class is running now, and then we'll teach another class there in April. And also in April, we'll be opening up in the Singapore market. Singapore was extremely interested in having us in. They gave us a 10-year tax holiday for coming into the market. We're willing to pay 90% of the cost of our instructors for coming to the area. And they'll actually subsidize 70% of the tuition for students over there, and they bought out the entire first class. So that's the level of interest there is in bringing this into markets. On here, we've got every other jurisdiction that's has interest that we have some preliminary deal with to move into the market. We're probably ending up going to be in either Australia or Korea going into Q3 of this year. And we'll be opening up a new market where we'll be teaching in every quarter, basically for the next few years, and possibly scaling up for that. So in addition to the Blockchain Academy, which is sort of the sexiest thing that we do, we have a world-class coding academy. So at the Blockchain Academy, you already have to be a really good developer, and we have a very strenuous entrance exam to get into the program. But maybe you want to get involved in blockchain and you don't know anything about software development. So we have one of the highest rated coding schools in the world. It's a 2-year program, and we can take you from no experience. And then we have a year of academic training. And then after that, we actually place you with a company, and then you can do a year of on-the-job training along with continued educational assistance from us. And from that 2-year program, we have a 92% placement rate for our graduates, which is one of the highest in the world. I've already talked about the Blockchain Academy. We do that. We also do executive education. So that's training companies like KPMG and Deloitte and PricewaterhouseCoopers, people that they don't need a technical version of it, but they need to understand blockchain because it's going to be very important for their business. We're also in the process of doing a lot of consumer education. We're actually in the process of creating the largest repository of free blockchain educational materials in the world. And this is super important to us, is that making sure that if you are interested, yeah, we'll have certifications and educational programs for you that you can buy, but we'll have just tons of information that's out there and tons of high quality content that's available for anyone that's interested in learning blockchain, basically at any level. We have people, we have accreditation for high school, so we can do high school level curriculum. We have actually my wife and a couple of other wives from the area, from the ecosystem, are building a really high quality blockchain homeschooling program. And so we'll be releasing that as well. And then we do a lot of industry-specific training. So this is like a company comes to us and they're saying, hey, we need this, this, and this taught to our staff, and we can teach that. And so for the first time ever, we're creating this central, I know we're decentral, but we're centralized, we're one unit. But we're creating a place that you can go to where all of this education will be available, and that if you feel like you need to learn something or get more information or have something taught, that there's a place that you can go with all that stuff's available. So we have a wonderful team. So this is our executive team, myself, John Souza, Mo Levin, if you guys are familiar with the North American Bitcoin Conference, BTC Miami, which is just the largest Bitcoin conference ever last month. These are our co-founders. Why our curriculum is so good is our curriculum is actually designed by our curriculum advisors, who are some of the people that built all of the technologies that we know and love. So like Stephen Dax, co-founder at Ethereum, Craig Sellers at Tether, Omni, Atomic, Riccardo Spignini, founder of Monero, Paul Pui, who will actually be here later on. So instead of it being like a theoretical concept of it, we're actually going to the people who build the technologies and being like, hey, okay, how do we teach this to other people? So that's one of our wonderful advantages that we have over other people in the ecosystem. So we announced this last month, but we did something really special at the end of last year. We acquired SoftUni. Now, you might not know what SoftUni is right now, but you're going to. SoftUni is the largest privately held university in Europe. They have 151,000 software development students. We've included it on there. If you look on the Forbes in Eastern Europe right now, they're on the cover of it. This is the largest educational tech acquisition in Eastern European history, and it was the largest educational tech in Europe for the last 10 years. And so now, the SoftUni team is now 100% part of the Academy team, and them and all of their instructors and their world-class curriculum are all baked into Academy, and so we're teaching the world to code and teaching the world to code blockchain. So one of the things that, and this will all tie together, I promise. One of the things that was so interesting to us about SoftUni is they had built this really awesome LMS, learning management system, and they built it from the ground up. And it's a very innovative way to take classes online. And they've had a really wonderful success rate with this. And so they've done 410 conducted courses, 420 conducted seminars, 7,800 video lectures, 32,000 hours of video lectures. So all of that's available through what we do right now. So you know, really anywhere that you are in the development ecosystem, we've got some sort of content for you. Like I said, 92% placement rate through our coding academy. With the blockchain, we actually think it'll probably be higher. We currently have modeling to graduate 1,600 developers through our immersion program this year, and we have requests for, this is a little higher now, we have requests for a little over 8,000 graduates, so we're only going to have 1,600 graduates this year, and we already have company requests to hire for over 8,000 of them, so it's a good place to be. We've gone through all of that. Okay, so a really awesome part of what we do is that we provide a full-service HR solution as well. So if you're a blockchain company or you have a project or an ICO and you're going to need engineering talent, you can come directly to us, and we will help place our graduates into your programs. And then the reverse side of that is working with those companies. We're making sure that the curriculum that we are offering is representing what's the best and most up-to-date in terms of what the industry needs from the people that they're hiring. Okay, so this is interesting to a lot of people. So we're in the middle of a token sale right now. We have the Academy token. The Academy token, by default, can be used to pay for tuition, and it can also be used to pay for placement service fees, so if you're hiring things from us. We do priority placement for people paying in Academy. Now, all of our classes, because we're a U.S. institution and we're Title IV and Title IX with the federal government, all of our courses are based in U.S. dollars. And unfortunately, I can't tell the U.S. government they have to pay me in an ERC-20 token for a class. But what I can do is I can price in US dollars and then say, as an institution, we have a preference to be paid in cryptocurrency. So currently we have a lot more space, we have a lot more demand for our classes than we have space for classes. So we prioritize people paying in our token for any service that we offer, for any placement in our organization for education. Let's see. My deck got a little updated and I'm a little confused. All right. Okay, if you're familiar with the Dash masternode system, we've baked something very similar to that into the Academy token, which is called an advisory node. And what it does is allow you to stake what's currently 30,000 Academy tokens. And if you stake an advisory node, you get to create proposals and vote on the proposals of others as to what our elective curriculum should be. So what we've done is we're staking nodes out to, like, we're having alternative blockchain technologies, things like Dash, Monero, Eternity, are interested in staking nodes so they can actually have a vote as to what the curriculum is. So we've created sort of a decentralized way for to stay relevant in terms of what the curriculum offerings that we're having. And we have a very interesting token mechanic. It's going to be something that you've never seen before. Most token sales or ICOs or whatever, they issue a token, then they go out and they try to find a use case for it. Ours, we actually have a liability associated with it because we'll take it in if you give us an Academy token, we have to give you education for it. So it's in many ways very much like a gift card. So when we take in a token for services, we actually burn 70% of it, which is completely unheard of. But it's like if you go to Starbucks and you give them a gift card and you expire the whole value of it, they don't then turn around and resell that same gift card. So that's how we look at it. So our whole token economy is deflationary by design. But we don't burn everything. We burn 70%, but we take 15%, and 15% of it is put into a dedicated scholarship fund. And 15% of it is put into a dedicated community management fund, community development fund. And what those do is those incentivize, they do direct scholarships for students that can't afford education, but they also incentivize us to go into markets where we couldn't be profitable without extra help, but where things are needed. So where this is, markets where this is very valuable is places like India and South America and places like that where there's a huge need for blockchain education, but it wouldn't be particularly profitable to go in there and do that. Yeah, we're raising $50 million. We're in a public pre-sale right now. We've raised a little over $17 million. We'll be running for about another month. That's all of my slides. I think I probably have plenty of time left. I would love to take any questions if anybody has them. Yeah, okay, awesome.
G'day, mate. Love your work. Oh, yep.
Go for it.
It's actually quite... G'day.
There you go.
Making love to it. The question that I have, and I've heard from a few people, is how hard is it to become an engineer in the blockchain space?
I'm sorry, how the mic is kind of, I don't know, a little...
How hard is it to become an engineer in the blockchain space?
From zero, it's actually, I mean, it would be pretty difficult. So you'll need a couple of years of experience as a developer to general software knowledge. Blockchain developing is just different. Doing things like the code that you write being propagated on nodes and you not being able to actually go in and edit it without having consensus from every other node, it takes a little while to get your hand around it. So I would say you probably need 2 or 3 years of just general software development experience, and then you probably need either our course or like 14 months of individualized study or on-the-job training for it.
Do you foresee the bottleneck with developers continuing to be a problem when platforms like EOS become available that make any C++ developer be able to develop amazing? So
I got an EOS necklace on right here. So I'm a huge fan of what EOS is doing. Dan Larimer, the CTO, is actually one of the first people we approached about curriculum development for us. I know the whole EOS team very well. I'm very, very excited for what EOS is bringing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. EOS is a platform. They did a token sale. It's actually still going on. It's a year-long token sale, but it came out last summer. And there's a transactional issue on the blockchain, is that Bitcoin can do about 8 transactions a second. Ethereum can do about 14. EOS theoretically can do about 675,000 per second. So when we talk about scalability, the options on EOS are really awesome. But also what EOS has done, what he was referring to, is that they've built, they basically segregated out their blockchain stuff. So there's a blockchain protocol level that you'll still need a lot of understanding to deal with. But all the business logic in terms of like writing smart contracts and stuff like that, they're making it so that, like, if you're a C# developer, that you'll actually understand most of that. So you won't need a whole lot of specialized training to do that. So their platform's not live yet. It's in theoretically, and I think their testnet comes out, or the testnet's live, and I think that they plan on going live in June of next year. So there are some wonderful things in this space. We plan on being EOS's largest curriculum trainer. We plan on teaching everybody EOS as well. It's we're very blockchain agnostic. We want to teach everybody anything that they need to know about blockchain space, and EOS is one of our the people we're working closely with.
One, is it you follow the standard format that you want high school graduates, or if my kid wants to go to coding academy after a sophomore year, do you require a high school degree to get in if he can pass the test?
If your son can pass our entrance exam, your son can have a seat in our class.
You rock, bro.
Because I mean, this was, I'm a college dropout. I tried to go to school for computer science, and this was in the 90s, and after 2 semesters of me knowing significantly more than my instructors did, it just wasn't for me. Vitalik did the same thing. Lots of people are high school dropouts, college dropouts, especially when it comes to technology. We just move very quickly, so by the time it gets into most classrooms, it's kind of irrelevant. So yeah, we wouldn't make that a bar to entry.
I remember in 2013 on Reddit, people were accusing you of being a scammer for Satoshi's Forest.
That would be 2014, but yeah, close. Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to comment on that, that'd be fine. Obviously, you've proved them wrong. I also wanted to ask you if there is any kind of referral or affiliate program for sending people your way.
I think in this space, and I think that Roger will be on this afternoon, I think all you need to do to prove people wrong about like your character in this space is just keep working. And then at some point in time, the body of work that you do will actually, show up past everything else. I tried to actually get another picture into this deck, and my deck got a little weirded, so I'm sorry for being a little disjointed in my presentation. But there's a picture that's the front page of the Pensacola News Journal that talks about how Satoshi Forest just got permitted, and it's a great picture because it's these tents and then this tree that has these pieces of barnwood that are attached to it, and on those trees are the very first Thanksgiving that we held out there, which was in November of 2013. We actually took donations from Bitcoin companies, and we would write their name on a little piece of barnwood and nail it up to a tree, and so it's all of these Bitcoin companies from 2013. Well, with like maybe one exception of the 23 names that are out there, those companies are all out of business. But Satoshi Forest is still there, and it's still working in 2018, and we've never had to kick someone off. We've never let the government take people forcibly off of our land. We've stood up in court several times for them. So yeah, so the thing in this space particularly is you're gonna have haters no matter what you do. So just try to ignore them and just do the work that needs to be done, and just don't engage in attacks with them, because haters gonna hate. Oh, and referrals, just hit us up. I'm Jason at academytoken.com. I'd be happy to talk. I didn't know if you meant for our token sale or for sending students our way or whatever, but just reach out to me. I'll be happy to clarify for you.
Hello? All right. Really good talk. Excellent. My name's Scott. I run an educational platform called Cryptogasmic, so I'm happy with other people doing education. That's the answer. If there's so many of these ICOs that want to hire tech guys, can they sponsor? I cannot go to them and go, hey, why don't you guys, because some people don't have a lot of money, so would it be possible for one of the ICOs, with some of the money they raise, to maybe pay for the sponsorship of some people who want to do this?
I'm sorry, the mic is very, I don't know, it's muffled. I don't know if it's the mic.
It's probably my accent.
Yeah. So are you asking if people can sponsor people to go through the program?
I'm asking if the ICOs who are coming to you, you're saying there's 14 positions available for each one person.
Well, correct.
How about getting the companies to sponsor people and pay for scholarship?
And they are, and people are lined up for this. So it's like, so actually we have 150 people paying in our first class right now, and not one of those students actually paid their tuition for it, because there's a massive demand for hiring this. So
how would those people who want to do it, don't have the money and they want that scholarship, what's the platform for them to apply?
So academytoken.com, they can just go on and just register their interest for us, and then we have financial aid information, we have programs available for students for that sort of stuff.
Hey man, really love what you're doing. It's solving a really serious problem. As far as getting this spread out, I saw you guys had a lot of countries on that list. Do you guys like have ambassadors that go out and kind of like get the ball rolling with transferring your courses over? And if so, how does somebody get involved?
Yeah, so like I said, just hit me up, Jason at academytoken.com. We don't really have an ambassador program now, but we are constantly on a hiring spree. We're doing this as a global rollout. So, you know, we need to be in a lot of places very quickly. So if you're talented and you're good at spreading the word on this sort of stuff, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
I've wondered, I'm thinking about making a change right now, and I've worked in goddamned information technology since the 90s myself, during the so-called boom when all these jobs were supposedly available. But now, even though I do have a 135 IQ, I'm also 46 years old. I know how this industry works. Are they going to look at the fact that I have a brain, or are they going to look at the fact that I'm 46 years old?
So this is actually a great thing, and it's actually one of the things that in our research that we found that's really, really awesome. There's a huge ageism problem in software development, is that in most industries, like experience is the thing that's most valued, right? But unfortunately, especially in areas like the Bay, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, oftentimes you can get aged out of software development, where it's like you hit a ceiling and you really can't grow past that, because the company that's hiring you, the new hot startup, they want the 23-year-old genius developer. They want the one that looks good on the pitch deck. They don't put as much value behind that. I can tell you 100% that is not true in the blockchain ecosystem. If you have 20 years of experience of development and now you can do blockchain too, you can pretty much write your own check. So blockchain developers, like a lot of them are older, and companies don't care. This is a meritocracy. If you can do the work, people will hire you, and the money's real good right now. So.
Hello, I just wanted to know, I noticed you had a lot of educational videos and information for being able to help people understand how to do this, but do you have anything that's specifically geared towards secondary school or high school kids, to where they can come in and learn just from the ground up?
So we're working on that. So we have a accredited coding curriculum geared towards high school students. Actually, we have a whole K through 12 program that came out of Soft Uni in Bulgaria. And so we have that there for just general coding. We're working on the blockchain level. You kind of got to go top down for it. You have to, so we're working on, the college level, and then once we have that, we can sort of reverse engineer where you need to be to understand that. And so we're working our way back down. But like I said, we want to get all the way down to teaching basic concepts for for homeschooling for K through 12. And so we'll be there. We're not there yet, but it's definitely like something that's on our to-do list.
So it sounds like your focus is more placement at employers like PwC or banks or people that are using blockchain technology. I really enjoy independent contracting. My rate's high. I get to solve really challenging problems. So do you have like a certification that I could put on my LinkedIn profile or resume or something, so that people could find me and I could contract for them?
Yeah, so we'll be rolling out our certification program this summer, so just sort of stay tuned. We needed to get a couple of our classes rolled through so that we can sort of identify the specific points that need to make up what's required for a certification. We're in the process of doing that right now, and so we'll have sort of worldwide industry standards for executive blockchain education, for blockchain development, for Ethereum, things like that. We'll be doing a whole series of certifications. So that's coming out as well.
Hi. I know that a lot of token sales these days are excluding U.S. residents and citizens because of SEC requirements and so forth, and I'm curious about the Academy token and whether or not it's available for sale.
The Academy token is 100% available to U.S. citizens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
So it's a couple of things. It's like we're a U.S. accredited university. We 100% meet the utility guideline because a big part of the how we test is the usability of the token outside of an investment, and because the U.S. government already says that we're valuable curriculum because we're accredited from them. So on day one, you can spend the Academy token to go and pay for tuition there. So it's a difficult thing for the government to say, well, that's not value from one side, but then say, oh, but the Department of Education actually says it is value. So we meet that. Just in case, the head of our legal team is a former SEC special prosecutor, so we've kind of dotted the I's and crossed the T's on that. But yeah, we actually don't have any prohibited markets worldwide for our token sale. And we're wrapping up. I've got like 4 minutes left, so I can take a couple more questions.
Okay. From what I understand is you focus mostly on the engineering and software development skills. But of course, the blockchain developers are creating kind of the future. And from what I know of my own study of electrical engineering, most students are not aware at all about, well, the promise that this new technology can deliver. So are you also incorporating that in your curriculum?
So it's funny, because you're making a distinction between that, but I don't, and as an institution, we don't. We actually think that the ethos that comes with blockchain, the ethos that comes with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, if you actually code in it, you can actually see that ethos in terms of how decisions were made as to how things are coded. So we actually believe fundamentally that if you don't understand the ethos behind why blockchain exists and why we're here doing this, that you'll actually be a pretty terrible coder at it. So that's actually a core part of what we teach, is why these systems needed to exist and sort of the ethos behind that. So that's in all of our lectures.
Hi. Can you hear me? Thank you for your work, by the way. I do have a question regarding the token.
Okay.
I can see what you're doing with it, and my question is, I can see that it's around education, but in the future, where do you see your token going? Into the poverty, into the homeless? I mean, do you see your token doing that?
I don't think the token itself will do that, but I think what the token will do is it'll incentivize the behavior that can then go out and do that. So the people that, like at Unsung, when we got this idea to do this decentralized identity system for refugees in Greece, we couldn't get an engineer for it, right? And I know a lot more people than the average person does that can build this, and we couldn't do that. So by increasing the pool size of the available developers, not all of them will go into the humanitarian side of it, right? But by making the pool of developers a lot bigger, the number that will actually be attracted to those sort of, humanitarian freedom sort of projects will be there, and that will actually ultimately help in those issues.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is insane. Jeff's been trying to get me down here for 4 years, and incredible conference, guys. Enjoy the rest of the week.
All right, Jason King. Thank you very much, Jason. Great job.